Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to Wingate Solutions. I hope you're doing well. Today's video is going to be a quick one. We're going to be talking about the SHORT Act and also a little bit of the Hearing Protection Act that are in the upcoming big, beautiful bill in Congress at the moment. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so this is kind of a follow-up video to my last one where I talked about the Hearing Protection Act and why we need to be talking to our legislators about removing suppressors from the NFA. In my opinion, it's not perfect. It's a huge step in the right direction. And it's probably the biggest two-way win, potentially, obviously we're not there yet, that I've seen in my time in this space. I think it's awesome. Suppressors are just hearing protection devices. They absolutely do not add to anything criminally, like as far as the crime rates or anything. There's not like an overabundance of suppressors being used to commit crimes. The data is just not there at all. Absolutely good, honest, law-abiding citizens in our country can benefit from having suppressors more readily available to them. It's just awesome, and we should all be behind it. We should be educating everyone in this space, and people that aren't even into guns, we should be educating them based on the reality of suppressors so they don't have this misconceived notion of what suppressors are like because of like Hollywood movies, right? So we need to make sure we're educating people, contact our senators, that sort of thing. But some of you might know the SHORT Act has been reintroduced into the bill as well. And that's pretty cool. I'm going to talk about that for a minute. So same exact thing. Make sure you guys are contacting your legislators about your support for removing short-barreled rifles from the NFA. Just in the same kind of talking points as suppressors, we all know that I say this as if I'm talking to someone that's like exactly like me. So I have to kind of remember that, kind of talk to different audiences, different perspectives. But a lot of people in the 2A space absolutely recognize that any gun law is an infringement of the Second Amendment. It's pretty cut and dry in my opinion. I'm really a nobody, but shall not be infringed is pretty straightforward to me. And I don't believe that our forefathers or founding fathers intended for any of these things to be regulated, especially not for the average American citizen. We should all be held to the same standards. Me, I'm a law enforcement officer, so I kind of see both perspectives on this, but I absolutely believe citizens have every right to own the same thing that I can buy for work, and it just makes sense. If someone's going to do things and have good intentions, we shouldn't be holding them back from being able to protect themselves, their loved ones, and their communities for like no real reason, no data behind it. There's no data that shows that suppressors should not be allowed for people to own. They're just hearing protection devices, pretty much it. But short-barreled rifles, we're going to talk about a little bit here. I have the exact same opinion now, right? It's the Second Amendment. They should fall under that. They should not be infringed. They should not be regulated, period. Unfortunately, that's not a talking point that we really can win a lot of people over with as much as it should be. Most people aren't going to actually listen and recognize that as being a reason. They want actual talking points. So I think we should be able to talk to our friends, our family, our Congress people about reasons why they should be off, okay? Common use. How about the fact that there are smaller statured people out there, like my wife, is going to be able to handle a shorter barreled rifle, specifically also with a can, a lot better than a full length AR for defending the house when I'm not here. It just only is positive, right? People are going to try to use some kind of reasons why short-barreled rifles are evil, and like none of it's legitimate. There's no data showing that short-barreled rifles are being used more often in criminal acts than regular length rifles. It just isn't a thing, right? And criminals are going to do criminal things no matter what. It really just holds back the average law-abiding citizens that want to better protect people around them. But even looking at short-barreled rifles, like 16-inch being the length barrel that's allowed. Anything over 16-inch, fine, right? Anything under 16-inch, now it's evil, right? And that's for a long time, that's how it's been. You have to get that $200 unconstitutional tax stamp, a tax on a right. It's kind of crazy. It's unconstitutional itself, in my opinion. We shouldn't have to pay a tax to have something. And that right there shows we're allowed to have it once we jump through the hoop of a tax. Then why couldn't I have it beforehand? If I'm allowed to own it now just because I got a blessing, because I paid money to have it, now it's not a big deal, right? As long as I don't do anything wrong with it, which that's how the law works in the first place. You can have things, as soon as you do something wrong to hurt other people, you're now committing a crime. And I don't think anyone is arguing against that point. But the point is, having a 15-inch barrel or a 16-inch barrel, is there really a difference when it comes to, everyday use for the average person, right? So, for instance, this is a 14.5 pin and weld. Just one of my main squeeze patrol rifle type builds, 14.5 barrel, and it has a permanently attached, permanently, because it needs to be removed with like power tools. It can't just be spun off with a wrench. Muzzle device that now has it be over 16 inches because of that pin. It kind of creates it as like one full length barrel over 16. Might confuse people with that. It's not necessarily a loophole. It's just like the way the way it's defined. This is absolutely fine. It is now considered a 16-inch barrel, right? It's silly. It doesn't make any sense. If this has a pin and weld, perfectly fine, perfectly legal for me to have right now talking to you guys on my own personal property in the woods. This pin that wasn't in this gun right now, this pin and weld, and this muzzle device was just screwed on here, it would be illegal for me to have in my possession. That's insane. It doesn't make any sense, right? So the fact that we can get around, I say it kind of like that, but kind of get around some of these stupid rules with things like this, like the pin and weld, or with the AR, like the pistol braces on ARs, and they've become so common use, but we still need to make sure our ducks are in a row and make sure we have all these, legal things, boxes checked as far as the pin and weld, as far as having the pistol brace on, because God forbid you have a stock on a rifle now. The pistol brace is fine. The stock now makes it evil. It makes no sense. There's no tangible argument as to why that is okay. One's okay and one isn't. And because nowadays so many shorter barreled AR platform rifles are out there in existence because of pistol braces, which is awesome. I mean, it's like one of the coolest things that has happened in our space as well, is pushing that so that there's more readily available for the average person to have shorter barreled rifles. I'm trying to say AR pistols, right? But it's a AR platform that has a short barrel. So it's like not by definition, a short barreled rifle, right? And it's perfectly fine. And I can have a short barreled rifle an AR pistol in my vehicle, and I can have that concealed under my license to carry, which, again, conversation for another day as far as the constitutionality in that as well. But as of the law nowadays, I can have that AR pistol in my car. It's perfectly fine. As soon as there's a stock on it, instead of a pistol brace, it's now illegal. Makes no sense, right? So I know I'm kind of spinning my wheels here, talking about the same talking points. You guys should really start thinking about this from, even without the perspective of like a smaller statured person. I think that's an absolute legitimate reason why someone wants a short barreled rifle, right? Like my wife. A lighter, smaller, shorter, handier carbine for her to be able to more effectively manage and be able to stop bad people from hurting our family. She shouldn't have to have something that's unwieldy and longer for her. And that's the reason why they should be off. Now, that doesn't mean that hey, let's start regulating it and only people of a certain size should have short barreled rifles. That would sound ridiculous, right? That's where a combination of there being no data showing that short barreled rifles are evil, and then also showing all of these talking points as to why the populace should have them be available, because it should be your choice what you use to protect your loved ones. So me using a short barreled rifle or not, that should be my choice. Me going out there and hurting people with that short barreled rifle, it's a crime regardless. I shouldn't be doing it, and there should be swift punishment for somebody that wants to hurt other people, especially when it's not deserved, right? So that doesn't matter if it's a short barreled rifle or a longer barreled rifle. I mean, technically, I would argue that it doesn't matter if it's a hammer, right? It doesn't matter if it's a vehicle. If I want to go hurt other people, I should have severe penalties, right? And that's just the way the world should work. When there's actual victims of crime, we should be absolutely punishing people. But the everyday person that just wants to better protect their family, what does barrel length matter? It doesn't. If anything, shorter barreled rifles have less effectiveness because they're not going to have as much oomph on target at range. Like a 7.5-inch gun compared to a 16-inch is just not going to have the same type of energy on target. It's not going to be as good at stopping soft targets from hurting people as a longer barrel is. So if anything, short-barreled rifle actually puts somebody behind the power curve as far as having that effectiveness. So again, another talking point as to why are we not allowed to have them? It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Anybody that has any, common sense, people talk about common sense gun control and things like that. Really, we need common sense deregulation. Like, there is no legitimate reason why short-barreled rifles should be regulated. None. I don't believe any of these should be regulated. So I kind of am a little biased there. But even trying to look at it from an unbiased perspective, I don't see a purpose for them being regulated. Like I talk about all the time in CQB type training. Sure, a 10.5-inch rifle is more maneuverable in tighter spaces, like moving through thresholds, that sort of thing. But somebody that knows what they're doing can absolutely work through a building with a 16-inch carbine and not be, held back with it if they know what they're doing. But a 10.5 still is a little more maneuverable, right? So it really comes down to personal choice and what you want to run. But I am a little biased in that I like longer rifles, right? I like my 16-inch builds. I like my more precision-oriented SPRs with suppressors and like 2.5 to 10 type optics. I run some pretty chunky rifles, right? I don't run any short-barreled rifles right now. This 14.5 is actually my shortest gun at the moment. And it's pin and welded already, so it doesn't even matter to me. At the end of the day, I still care about other people's wishes and what other people want to get out of their firearms to better protect their loved ones. Even though I don't run a lot of short-barreled rifles anymore, I think everybody should have that choice for themselves. And I absolutely will stand up for people that want short-barreled rifles because it's right. We need to stop only supporting things that affect us, especially in the 2A space. That happened years ago with the bump stocks. Most people think they're dorky. It absolutely doesn't make sense for them to be regulated, but most people were fine with it because as long as you weren't coming after my bolt action hunting rifle, that's okay, right? We need to get away from that mentality. It's very defensive minded of thinking about only when it affects us. We need to be more like on the offensive as far as deregulating this stuff. So I'm all about it. And this was a little bit long-winded. You guys have any questions or anything to add, throw them down in the comments. I know I had probably a few things I wanted to make points on in this, and I kind of just floated it off the cuff as I usually do. And hopefully I got somewhere with it. Make sure you guys are talking to your senators, legislators. I don't know exactly how it's going to go in the system right now. I guess it has to go back to the House and then get voted on there. But we have a pretty dang good chance of having suppressors and short-barreled rifles deregulated as far as not being on the NFA anymore. And that's a huge win. Let's go. Let's push it through. Let's make sure this gets on the president's desk, and then we'll really see if his money is where his mouth is, as far as whether or not he's going to sign it. We'll see. I don't have the biggest of hope for it. Like people say, hope isn't a strategy, but I'm excited that we might finally be moving in the right direction. So anyway, guys, if you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing, hit that thumbs up, like button, share with your buddies, do all those cool things. Make sure you guys are supporting other guys. Other guys have content where they're putting out way better information than I am, especially right now. If you see one that's really well done, make sure you're spreading it around and sending it to your friends, because we need to do more to educate other people to get on board with this sort of thing. But yeah, like I said, like, subscribe, do all that cool stuff, comment down below. I really enjoy reading them. And if you guys want to support me in any other way, you can check out my website, WingateSolutionsLLC.com. My wife and I have a very small business. We make handmade 2-point minimalist adjustable rifle slings. My sling retention strap is pretty awesome. I love it. I'm biased, but you might like it too if you tried it out. If you want to support me, check us out on Instagram as well. That's Wingate Solutions on there. Probably throw it down in the description or across the screen somewhere on there. But all right, guys, I appreciate you. Till next time, get out and train.